Hello everybody. Today I was thinking that I'm going to show you how to make these Georgies gaming gloves, which are a fingerless mitten, no thumb, knitted in a rib, then a right stitch, and then a rib. The ribbing is completely knitted in magic loop. I am using a 3.75mm needle on an 80 centimeter cable. The yarn that I'm using is Sucky Plus from Adlibris. This is the colorway Astrid. This is the colorway Grandma's Place. And I was going to show you how we're going to do the thumb section, because as I said, the ribbing is knitted on magic loop. This is not. This is knitted in rows, and then again we go magic loop on the top ribbing. We start from the wrist and we end up at the fingers. If you want the ribbing longer, you can do an extra 5 or 10 rows. If you want the fingers to be more covered, you can absolutely do another 5 or 10 rows. We do 25, 16 and 10 of these, and then we cast off. So on my purple glove over here, I have knitted 24 rows of the ribbing, cast on, and I've knitted 1 by 1 ribbing for 24 rows. And this is what I like to call the starting position. You have both of your needles pointing to the right. You got the yarn coming off the back needle and you lift it on top of your knitting project like this. This is the correct starting position in your magic loop. You're going to take the yarn from the back needle, pull the back needle out, push the front needle in, and then we knit on the front needle, transferring over to the right as per usual. I'm going to knit just normal 1 by 1 ribbing the whole round. I knit an incorrect purl stitch because I have trouble with my wrist, so I have modified my purling, going in, grabbing the yarn and pulling through, which means I end up with a twisted stitch. I will show you in just a moment how you will amend for this when you start knitting in the round. So I'm going to knit this needle and I will come back to you when I'm at the last one. So I have arrived to my last purl stitch of the row. I will simply make a normal purl stitch, let go of the left needle, pull the left needle out. I keep on holding my yarn like this with my finger underneath, swivel, and I end up back in the starting position where I have both of the needles pointing to the right, my yarn coming up out from the back needle above my knitting project, pull the bottom back needle out, push in the front one, and I will knit as I did the previous row. I will knit 1 by 1 purl stitch until I come to the last stitch on the row. Again, I am at the last purl stitch. I'm going to purl as normal, drop my left needle, hold on to the right, pull on the back cable, hold on to my yarn, swivel, and come back into starting position. This time I have now done 25 rows of 1 by 1 ribbing. So now I'm going to start with the garter stitch thumb section, which is knitted in rows. You stop here and you turn and come back. So the first I need to do is amend my knitting, my purl stitches that are in the wrong position on the needle. As you can see, they have the back loop presenting as the forward loop, which means this is the loop that I need to knit into to be able to twist my stitch back. So my knit stitch I knit as per normal, and the purl stitch I knit in the back leg to swivel the stitch around. I will repeat this until I get to the other side of the knitting, and I will join you back when I get to the back. So I am now at the last purl stitch, which I'm going to knit in the back loop. Hold on to this. I'm going to let go of my left needle. I'm going to swivel and pick up my needle again. And now I am at the wrong side in a modified starting position. I'm going to transfer the first stitch over to my right hand needle purlwise, and then I'm going to knit normal knit stitch until I get to the end of the row. So I have a couple of more stitches that I need to knit on this back needle. Knitting 1, knitting 2, and then I let go of my left needle, hold on to the back, pull it in like this, hold on to my yarn, and I swivel. If I push in the back needle, you see now I have the working yarn on the front here. Sorry, my cable are in the way. I have my working yarn at the front and I need it to be on the back. So I'm going to wrap it underneath both of the needles. So I got it coming out now from the back here. I'm going to be knitting on the back needle with the front needle to be able to get to the starting position. Pull out the front. You have to have quite a lot of tension on the working yarn here, not to get any slack, but continue knitting as normal. Until you get into the end of the row. The last stitch I'm going to knit in the back loop like this. I'm going to let go of my left needle, swivel, and now I have made my first garter round. I have the starting of the hole for the thumb. I have the yarn, the working yarn at the front in the wrong position. So I'm going to transfer over to my right needle purlwise, and I'm going to knit the whole row, change over, knit back, last stitch you'll work in the back loop, and then you work yourself back, transfer the working yarn underneath both needles, knit all the way back, last stitch in the back leg. So I thought I would show you again how to do the odd row transfer. You knit until you get to the end of the row. You let go of your left hand needle and you pull it up, pull your right hand needle in, and I usually hold on to my yarn, go underneath both needles, swivel, pull so I get the tension correctly, push the back needle in, and then this is my working needle, the front needle, so I pull this one out. And you can see I'm putting quite a bit of tension here. I don't want any slack on the stitch here, so I do have to put quite a bit of tension. And then I start knitting until the end of the row and the last stitch in the back leg. So I have now worked my 16 rows of garter stitch, which means I have 8 bumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is on the needle here, which is exactly what I want. So to reattach this into a magic loop situation again, I'm going to knit another round of normal knit stitch, and then I'm going to start the magic looping again. So I will pull the back needle out, I will transfer the first stitch purlwise over to my right hand needle, and I will knit until I will get to the other side. I will still this time knit the last stitch in the back loop. So I will meet you right back to here. So I will knit the second to last, and I will knit the last stitch in the back leg, let go of my left needle, pull it through, hold, swivel, pull my front needle in, push my front needle in and pull my back needle out. So now we are in a proper starting position where we have both needles facing to the right and the yarn coming from the back above the knitting. So I will, this first stitch is a twisted stitch, so I will knit it in the back loop, and I will go in through the back here and pull my other side close so that I don't get a little big gap in between the stitches between the needles. And I will continue knitting one more round of plain knitting stitch, and then when I get around I will start the 1 by 1 ribbing at the top. And the reason for doing the one extra round of the knit stitch is so that we get this, I don't know if you can see it on this this glove here, we got one row of the plain knit stitch here before we start with the ribbing, which means that the glove has a little bit more flexibility in between the garter stitch and where the 1 by 1 ribbing starts. And if you're using it for gaming on a PlayStation, you have the option to move your hands a little bit more freely without a little less resistance if you have this extra row of knitting. I will use mine primarily for my work in the office, where I get cold fingers in the winter time when I'm typing on the keyboard. And you can see here on the, when we did the return row and we pulled the working yarn underneath the needles. We don't have any slack. We don't have any hanging threads, but you do need to put quite a bit of tension there so you don't get any slack. These ones are very squishy and very stretchy. They fit a petite. I got quite a big hand, but they will fit a petite hand because they're quite squishy and thick, but they will also fit a rather large hand. There is a lot of give in this material since we are using a thicker yarn and a smaller needle. This one is a sock yarn and it's 156 meters per 100 grams. You will need about 60 grams for a pair of these mittens. I will put the pattern in the description box below. If you want to go and check it out, you can do. Or you can search for my name on Ravelry. It's Stitched by B, and there will be a link to the pattern from the Ravelry page. I will keep knitting one more round, and then when I get to the end, I will start my 1x1 ribbing, and I will do 10 rounds of 1x1 ribbing, and then I will cast off in pattern, which means I will cast off one knitwise and one purlwise, just a normal standard cast off. So I am at the end of the row. I will drop my left hand needle, hold on to the right, pull on the back, swivel, push my front needle in, and now I'm not in the correct position. I have my yarn coming from underneath the needle. I want it on top of my knitting, so I pull it on top, pull the back needle out, and push the front needle in, and continue with the last row of the plain knit stitches before I start my 1x1 ribbing. I hope you find this pattern agreeable to you. Give it a try. If you have any questions, please write them in the comment box below, and I will see if I can help you in any way. But as I said, it's a free pattern. You can find it in the description box below or on Ravelry. So here I'm at the last knit stitch. Let go, pull, swivel. I keep my working yarn here, and we are now completely attached in the magic loop again. Don't worry if you have a little bit of slack here, that will be sucked in when we start doing our ribbing. So I will do one knit, one purl, for a total of 10 rows, and then I will be casting off, and you will have this casted off top. Don't know if you can see it in the black yarn there, where I cast it off in pattern. Good luck, bye bye.